Greetings and welcome to our third webinar of Growing Together. We are here with you live from Westcliff University. So if you have any questions during our time, please don't hesitate to pop them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of our webinar. We will also be doing a giveaway this time, so please stay to the end so you can be entered into that raffle. I'm Monica Heredia. I'm the director of Westcliff Early Learning Academy. I've been in the early childhood field since 2009 as an administrator and director and educator. I'm so thrilled to be here with you guys today, and I'm even more thrilled to introduce Dr. Linda Tran. She's going to be our health and wellness expert today. Dr. Linda Tran is a licensed esthetician. She's also a licensed pharmacist and has been working in the health and wellness industry since 2006. She is also founder of LCA Cosmetics, as well as co-founder of Westcliff Early Learning Academy. Welcome, Linda.
Thanks, Monica. I'm thrilled to be here, excited to share what my knowledge has to contribute to this, so thanks for having me.
Awesome, yeah. So we have a lot of questions, around, health and wellness and implementing those in our family. So I think some of the topics we're going to be covering today with Linda are how to create healthy eating habits in your family, how to break bad healthy eating habits with your family, what vitamins and supplements do children need, what are some good sunscreens, what sunscreen should we be buying, and how can we support our child's mental health. So Linda, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about your background and your journey?
Thanks, Monica. First off, I can say to you that being a parent myself with two little girls and one on the way, I can relate to the struggles that parents go through, Mm-hmm. So a little bit about my background is I graduated from Western Health Science since 2002. It's been a long time. And as a pharmacist, I dedicated my, my career in that field for over 15 years. And, over time, I've always been fascinated by the skin and what properties, it can contribute to our environment and our life. So it got me to thinking about going back to school, getting my esthetician license. And, I've always contemplated about going into another field down the line, but nothing really resonated with me. But it wasn't until 2022 is when things really turned for me. Like my life really had a drastic change. One of which was when Sage was, turning almost 8 to 12 months. She started introducing a lot of solids, and then we figure out that she had food intolerance and food allergies, which was so bad because then she couldn't sleep at night. She has restless nights where she's itching and screaming and crying for hours.
Oh my gosh.
And then not only that, several things happened, which is, the passing of my mom that year. And then also, we separated with our long-term nanny. And lastly, I had a lot of health conditions that came up that impacted my life. So, when life really wants you to acknowledge what's going on, the universe is really waking you up and say, hey, there's something going on. We need to look inside and figure out what it is. And that's when I really deep dive into feeling like, what is my purpose here? Why am I here? What am I meant to do? So I start reevaluating, my path and how I can make an impact in this world. And so this is where I created and I thought, hey, I have my pharmacy license. Let's combine that with my esthetician license and create a product that will help the world, like especially children that's going through something like my daughters are going through. And so it really pivoted me into this whole new world of cosmetics, skincare, and that's why LCA Cosmetics is created.
Wow, Linda, that's a journey, and I think we've all been on a pathway. We thought we were going one way, and it turned us a different way. So I think that your story is really relatable. So thank you for sharing that with us. You brought up Sage's food intolerance and all that. So that kind of brings me to talk about our diets at home. Like, what are some things families can do at home to encourage their family and their children to eat healthier?
Oh, wow. That's a good question, Monica. So some of the things I do is that I feel like when you encourage them to be involved in meal planning. So like when I go to the grocery store with Faith, I would play a game with her, like I would say, hey, can you like look for a vegetable that is orange, or like a fruit that's yellow? Then she'll bring back a couple of items and I'm like, make sure you like it though. Or even if you don't like it, if you're curious about it, it's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's what's good about that is that they stay curious. They want to learn more about what they're bringing to the table. And then not only that, they can't say no to the food that they pick, right? So it's good for them to get involved. When you do that, you introduce them to colorful fruits and vegetables. And not only that, you make accessible snacks easy to be located. For example, in the pantry, in the refrigerator. If you have more of those type of healthy foods, then they can't really gear towards the bad food. Or, I'm sorry, just unhealthy overall.
Yeah,
healthy
choices.
Yeah. And then next thing you know is you also want to do meal hours. Make sure that it's consistent. Establish those meal hours and those snack hours. So for example, I go to pick up Faith and Sage after school and they know that when mommy comes to pick them up, there's always a snack for them. So they're looking forward to like seeing me, but they're also looking forward to eating because guess what? By the end of the school day, they're hangry.
Yes, yes, they are.
You want to make sure that you feed them and they, when they get home, they know they have to take a shower and then they know it's dinner time. So it's like back to back to back. They know exactly what to expect on a daily basis.
I love that. Yeah, we talked about in our last webinar how important routines are in the morning to get you out the door. But, routines in the evening when you come home and you guys are getting dinner ready, I think that that's an important, point to make too. And another fun fact, it takes, when you introduce new foods to kids, it takes 8 to 15 times for you to introduce that food or for them to try that food before they accept it. So, parents, don't give up. If they don't like the bell peppers the first time, keep on trying and keep it part of keep their plate colorful, as I always tell my kids, keep your plate colorful.
Monica, I love that. So the general guideline for children is, of course, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. And going back to what you're saying, how do we introduce those types of food to them? Of course, is being consistent. Don't give up after 1 or 2 times introducing it to your child. And I have a really funny story with Sage. Sage, when I was going through my health condition during those months, I was drinking a lot of celery juice. So, and she became curious in terms of what was mommy doing on a daily basis drinking celery juice. So she comes over, she looks at my, like my cup, and then I'm like, do you want to try some? And then she said, sure. So I gave her some, and then of course she looked at me, she's like, ew, this thing's gross. But then as days goes by and she sees me keep drinking it on a daily basis, she's probably thinking, wow, this must be really good. Mommy sees something in it that I don't. And then so I would continuously tell her, let's try it again, And so she tried it ever several times. Finally, now that she's 3 years old, she's drinking half a cup a day. And I'm so proud of her. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I love to hear that story. So viewers, we'd like to hear your stories too. Is there anything that your child really disliked for a long time but now enjoys? Any type of food, please, put it in the chat and we can talk about it towards the end of our webinar, which reminds me about, at Westcliff Early Learning Academy, we're going to be serving, fresh, healthy, nutritious snacks, AM and PM, things like, hummus and cucumbers, sun butter, and rice cakes, and yogurt, and strawberries. So we're really trying to get the children to eat, get those 5 vegetables and 5 fruits and vegetables in a day, as well as expand their palate. So yeah, it's not just going to be goldfish, it's going to be some nice, healthy, nutritious food.
I love that. So
what's your advice on breaking unhealthy eating habits? Say the kids' go-to is the goldfish every single time. How could we incorporate more healthy eating choices?
Wow, that's a hard question because I know breaking habits is tough, right?
Yeah.
But my first suggestion would be to not label food as good or bad, introduce in moderation. So, introducing them to, for example, with my daughters and I would tell them, okay, be curious in terms of why they're asking for ice cream, right? Because ice cream is their number 1 go-to every single time they have a craving. So I'm like, okay, or did you have dinner yet? You know, it's like, let's have dinner first, let's, you know, and then we can have a treat afterwards, maybe half a cookie, and, or even, you know, on a weekday, we can even do fruits and vegetables, and then, I'm sorry, fruits at the end of the meal. And then on the weekend, we can splurge, we can do whatever you want. So again, moderation is key, and you don't want to say, hey, this is bad or good. Again, just kind of like repetitive introduction is good. Positive eating environment is my number 2 thing. And I know people talk about no screen time during eating time, which is a good idea. But also at the same time, and you know, you have them stay curious as what foods they're having. Like, for example, ask them, what do you think you're eating today? Like, do you enjoy it? You know, and like, you know, what do you like instead, you know? And so ask them open-ended questions, get them involved. And then lastly, I would say is gardening and being outdoors. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't garden at all. But get people who are involved in your life, your loved ones that are good at gardening. For example, my sister, who's also their godmother, she loves gardening. So, you know, it's a win-win situation where like I need my alone time, but also like allow them to spend time with someone they love, right? So it gives them the opportunity to learn about herbs, about vegetables. Not only that, to learn about nature and the environment and the plants.
I love that. You know, I've seen firsthand how children will try new foods if they're a part of the growing process. I had a 2-year-old class, and we grew green onions because they're really quick to grow, which is great for a 2-year-old class. And they were so excited to try it as it sprouted out. We'd be cutting the tops of it, and they'd be popping it in their mouth, and they'd go check on their green onion that we put in the garden. So I see how valuable that is as being a part of that process. And at Westcliff Early Learning Academy, we are going to have planter beds and do that process too. So have, you know, kale, grow radishes, grow tomatoes, and have them see that growing process as part of our nature-based approach. So another way to get children to get 5 a day, right, is smoothies or juices, right? Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about those.
So I'm super excited to hear that Westcliff Early Learning Academy is a part of all this gardening stuff and introducing all that. But you're right. So solid foods is usually what I recommend, obviously. But then if you don't have time, like busy parents like us, introducing juices and smoothies is a great way of, you know, introducing that new taste of palate to the child. So if we were to go with juicing, you know, I say try to steer away from like sweet juices because there's higher intake of sugar. So my prefer and more from a professional standpoint, I would say I would gear towards smoothies. And the reason why is because it retains more fiber. And secondly, and you're preserving the nutrients from the fiber, right?
Right.
And then lastly is lower sugar intake because there's more fiber and so forth in there that you're actually getting more out of just smoothies than juices. But do what's right for you. Like, I mean, like if you are busy and you think juicing is the best thing, then by all means do what's right for you in your environment. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer as long as you introduce that palate introduction.
Yeah, my kid would never eat kale, but if I put it in his morning green smoothie, he wouldn't even know, and he'd have it. So I agree with you there. So let's talk about like vitamins and supplements. You know, we can put those in our smoothies too. What vitamins and supplements would you recommend for families and young children?
Yes. So, you know, the reason why we're introducing supplements sometimes is because sometimes our kids and adults, they're picky eaters, right?
Yes,
we don't get this efficient nutrients from the food that we eat. So if you introduce like vitamins such as vitamin C, right? Vitamin C is really good for cell production, white cell production. You can get it in citrus fruits, right? But if you can't, then it comes in different dosage forms. For example, tablets, chewables, gummies, you know, whatever you think your child likes, actually they can actually pick it out themselves when you go grocery shopping with them, right? And I would think about vitamin D as well. Not only is vitamin D good for your bone absorption, but it's also good for your immunity as well. And then I would think about zinc. You know, there's 2 forms of zinc. There's zinc chelated and there's non-chelated form. For me, I prefer the chelated form because it's just better absorption. So, you know, such as zinc gluconate, that's a really good preference for me. I would think about elderberries. Elderberries is another one which is very natural, right? And there's a fun DIY things that you can actually make on the stove, turn into gummies, and your kids will love it. And maybe I can share with you guys.
I want that. I want to try that.
And then one more thing is that what people don't realize that probiotics actually contribute to a lot of good immune health. And so when you think about gut health, it actually relates a lot to the immune system. So probiotics is another one that you should probably think about.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about probiotics, because I know after you've had antibiotics, your healthcare professional will often say, make sure you take some probiotics. I don't know exactly why, so maybe you could explain why it's important to take probiotics after you've been given antibiotics.
Great, definitely. So we know the antibiotics is necessary when you have a bacterial infection, right? So the antibiotics comes into your body is actually eradicating the bad bacteria, but at the same time, it's also killing your good bacteria. So what do you do then? Because it's killing your good bacteria, guess what happens is the side effects of those antibiotics.
Right.
Now you're having nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, right? GI distress, which actually cause folks to stop taking their antibiotics, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the number one reason why people don't continue taking their antibiotics, and they stop in the middle of everything. And then guess what? It causes bacterial resistance. So now you have another issue on your hand. Not only if you're still sick, now in the future there's a higher chance of you getting that same infection, but now it's going to be even worse because now the second antibiotic that's introduced to you is not going to work.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so probiotics actually helps nourish the gut biome, and it helps kind of like fight back from that antibiotic coming in and killing it.
I see. I see. Well, that's important. I didn't know that, and now that really enlightens me. Now I know that probiotics are important. So we talked about, inside of the body, taking care of inside the body, getting nutrients, vitamin supplements. What about outside the body? What kind of sunscreen is the best sunscreen to use for our families?
Yeah, thanks, Monica. This is one of my favorite topics, actually. A sunscreen, I love it. But also, one thing about it is that skin cancer is really pronounced in the U.S., right? 1 in 5 Americans actually get skin cancer throughout their lifetime. And when you are exposed to sunburn at a young age, you're twice as likely to have melasma at an older age. So the chances are very high.
Yeah.
I have some important tips that I would like to share, and I think, to consider it when you guys are choosing sunscreen and picking sunscreen is the sufficient amount that's being applied, right? So you have a small amount, you think that's enough, that's technically not enough. The rule of thumb is like at least half an ounce or like a quarter of a shot glass, apply it to your face area, and of course be generous. Just don't pat in, apply as much as you can. And then also make sure you do it 15 to 20 minutes prior to getting exposed to the sun. And if you're in the water sweating or some sort of water that's touching the sunscreen, always make sure you apply every 2 hours. Now, the higher the SPF is, of course, better. So you want an SPF of at least 30 plus, right? But the key here is reapplying, So just because you're choosing an SPF of 70 and if you didn't reapply it, doesn't mean that you're not going to get sunburned. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. And also the American Pediatrics actually suggests that if you are 6 months and older, that's when you can start applying sunscreen. Anyone younger, infants, the best thing is to try to keep them indoors, get into the shade area and not expose them as much to direct sunlight. And always remember to do a patch test, right? Because people think that, oh yeah, they can apply anything without even realizing that there's could be severe skin reactions, right? So make sure that you apply a little bit, and then if it's okay for you, then go ahead and apply it to a larger area.
Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, definitely make that a part of your morning routine, putting sunscreen on yourself and your children. So tell me more a little bit about different types of sunscreen. I've seen a variety of different types of sunscreen for sale around, and how do we know which is the best type?
Right, thank you. Good question. 2 types of sunscreen available. So we have a chemical sunscreen, and we also have a mineral sunscreen. So think about chemical sunscreen as a sponge, right? So the sun comes in, it absorbs into your skin, now it's converted into heat. The heat is now being expelled and released out of your skin. That's the chemical component of it, right? And then the second part is the mineral, the second type. The mineral, just think of it as a physical barrier to your skin. So you're applying it as like a shield, right? So when the sun comes and hits the shield, it gets bounced off. So it doesn't get absorbed into your body or your skin, which I think is a very good, alternative, and that's what I would highly recommend. Not only do I recommend mineral sunscreen, but it's also the fact that it has simple ingredients like zinc oxide or titanium oxide, right? So the concentration of the zinc oxide really makes a big difference. When you guys go to the grocery store, look at the ingredients. Go in the back, look at the concentration. Anything that's 20% and above, go for it. That is the one that you want.
20% of zinc oxide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That is the one you want because the concentration actually allows, that is considered protection right there. Anything lower, I say, you probably would have to apply it at least 3-4 times a day more often.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the concentration really makes a big difference. And the reason why I also love zinc oxide and mineral sunscreen is because we created our sunscreen with mineral oxide 25%.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and not only that, but I think it's a good contribution to the environment. It helps and is coral reef safe. One of the things I really value about Westcliff Early Learning Academy is that we can actually teach the kids about coral reefs and the environment they're in, how they can be reef heroes, right? Choosing the right sunscreen. They're being environmentally responsible for the future of of our kids.
Oh, that's, I consider myself pretty environmentally aware, but I had no idea that choosing, chemical sunscreen over mineral sunscreen was, affecting the coral reef's ecosystem. So wow, that's pretty powerful. Thank you for sharing that with us. So we talked about, the inside of our body. We talked about the outside of our body. Now let's discuss our mental health. What things can we do? What are some key pieces we can do to improve our children's mental health?
Oh, okay. So mental health, since we're talking about the environment, about, social responsibility, sustainability, I think what is great is being outdoors, like at least an hour being outdoors. It's nice to have the fresh air, have the vitamins. Like vitamin D is where you're going to get when you're out in the sun. Naturally, you create vitamin D in your system, right? So it boosts that immunity as well. But being mindful, I guess, is the key. When you're outdoors, you actually enjoy being outdoors by seeing the environment. And when that creates a mindfulness of peace, quiet, meditation, that's something about Westcliff Early Learning Academy that I think is going to be very cherishable, is that, you guys are going to be introducing yoga, meditation, techniques that actually will help them learn how to deal with your big emotions.
Yes. Yeah, taking deep breaths. I always tell the kids, I always hold my fingers up when they're having a hard time, and I say, okay, smell the roses, blow out the candles. And that helps them take deep breaths and get rid of those calm down those big emotions that they may be having. I think you bring a good point up too about the curriculum, because part of the curriculum, Westcliff Early Learning Academy, we're really instilling the growth mindset so that, your abilities can be improved when you put effort and persistence into something. And that's something that's a part of the blend of Montessori and Reggio curriculum. They really believe in providing challenges for children and overcoming those challenges and instilling persistence and foster that intrinsic motivation in them. So I think that that's another unique thing that we have a part of our curriculum to offer. Another unique thing is that you developed a wellness program for Westcliff Early Learning Academy. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm really excited to share this. I'm honored to be a part of this program, and we have a 1, 2, 3 Inside Out Wellness program. And earlier we were talking about the 3 components of the body, one of which is the brain, right? Not only are we educating our students, but we're also helping them with nutritious foods, help boost that cognitive function, giving them the tools to be mindful, about, where they're at, who they're with, and how to to express themselves freely, I guess, being mindful about things. And then the second part is the body. We're talking about the immune system. How can we educate them in terms of choosing better foods and introducing them into our life. And also encouraging physical exercise, being outdoors. That's what nature-based is all about,
Yeah.
right? And then lastly, I would say the skin component. So that's what I'm so proud about presenting my product, is because LCA Cosmetics, along with Westcliff Early Learning Academy, we are creating skincare that are catered towards kids, especially for sensitive skin. We have moisturizer, we have sunscreens that are readily available and convenience for parents. Really thrilled about that.
Yeah, no, it's a really wonderful, unique program to be a part of an early childhood facility. So, I couldn't be more proud of that part of the curriculum. So thank you for being a part of that. Do we have any questions in the chat?
We do. One question is, what does superfood mean, and what are some examples of superfoods?
Okay, so I'll repeat the question. The question that came in the chat is, what are superfoods, and what are some examples of superfoods?
What does superfood mean?
Oh, what does superfood mean? Okay.
And what are some examples of superfoods?
Okay.
Trying to think. Okay, superfoods. Okay.
I think some of the smoothies, right, that you were talking about.
Right.
There's when you combine different types of smoothies, different elements of the smoothies. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I love that. So so what I do in the morning, and I think this is really cool, is there is a product called Wayman's Blueberries. They're organic blueberries, and they're wild blueberries.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
so you take that. It's frozen, by the way, so it's easy for you to make it. So basically, you're taking the frozen fruit and you're putting it in a blender, and then you add some oat milk alternatives, creamy oat milk or almond milk, and then you also add, for me at least, I add a scoop of matcha. So that's kind of like,
sounds good.
it helps me kind of like wake up and like I'm here like cognitively and like I'm alert, but at the same time it gives you that antioxidant effect, right? And it makes you feel good, and it helps with your digestive system, and I love that. It's like a good way to go.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's a great example of a superfood breakfast for you to have wild blueberries and some oat milk. That sounds really good. So we also have a giveaway. We're going to give away some of the LCA moisturizer for sensitive skin. So please scan the QR code to be put in that raffle for that product.
We have another question.
Oh, we have another question.
Oh.
From Professor Inchowski. Can you speak about sleep and its impact on nutrition and children's health? How many hours?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. So I think we kind of we've talked about sleep in our last webinar with April, but yeah, children need about 13 hours of sleep a night, and so whether that be 10 hours at night and 2 hours for a nap. I know we're going to offer, rest times at Westcliff Early Learning Academy to make sure that children get that full duration that they need. So I would say if they're taking a nap, it's 10 to 13 hours of sleep is what they need a day. And wouldn't you agree?
I definitely agree with that. And what I also recommend is, I think routine before, the routine things that you do before bedtime, it actually helps them. And for me, like for my child, when she's having her flare-ups with eczema or dermatitis, what I do is I give her a nice soothing bath, with oatmeal bath that kind of helps calm them down. And then not only that, a warm bath at night before bedtime, it actually helps soothe them better.
It's so true. Yeah, we definitely do that bath bedtime routine. It really does help. So, yes.
We have one more question.
One more question. Awesome.
Priscilla is asking, I would like to know how the school handles students from diverse nationalities, especially during lunch when students may be curious about their friends' food.
Oh, I love that question. That's amazing. Yeah, so I mean, we are Westcliff University, and I think one of Westcliff University's pillars is diversity. And so we just had International Day where everybody came from Westcliff University giving different types of food from their different cultures. I would hope to have that same tradition at Westcliff Early Learning Academy, where we can have potlucks with families coming in, having different dishes from different countries. I think that would be a great community building activity to do. And yeah, I think that also, introducing the food, having the parent come in and talk about these different types of foods and their origins would be a great way to introduce culture to the school too. So yes, we encourage all different types of foods and all different types of diversity and embrace that. So that's a great question. Thank you. So I encourage everybody to scan the QR code to find out more about Westcliff Early Learning Academy, all of our offerings and our health and wellness program. Please join our priority list so you can be the first to know when we start offering tours and enrollment. I hope everybody learned something today. I know I did. And yeah, thank you all for being here today, and have a healthy and beautiful day.
Thank you.